You're listening to Sim Games TO Radio, where zoning laws don't matter. Traffic is just a suggestion, and your citizens' happiness is only as important as the amount of cash they're shoveling into your tax coffers. Whether your city's a bustling metropolis or just one giant industrial wasteland with a few sad trees gasping for air. Hey, it's all about that bottom line, right?
Good morning, City Skylines FM, or should I say, good stuck in traffic, welcome to the massive urban parking lot that you call a city morning? That's right, folks, here we are again. It's another beautiful day. If you can see past the miles of bumper-to-bumper cars that have become a permanent feature of this city. I swear, I'm starting to think traffic is a decorative choice, like, oh hey look, another sculpture. Nope, that's just Carl's minivan stuck at the same intersection for the last 20 minutes. Now, before we dive into today's How to Keep Your Sanity While Trapped in Gridlock tips, let's take a minute to appreciate just how fantastic the city planning here is. Oh yeah, because whoever designed this traffic system must have used a dartboard. Or maybe it was just, let's play SimCity without a tutorial mode. Seriously, have any of you seen the spaghetti mess they call highway interchanges? I think I saw that in a nightmare once, and then woke up inside a roundabout driving in circles. Did you hear that? That's the sound of progress, people. It's the sound of absolutely no one moving. If you listen closely, you can almost hear the collective frustration of everyone who thought they'd make it to work on time today. Spoiler alert, they won't. But let's talk about the real culprit here, public transit. Oh sure, you've got your fancy metro lines, your buses. In theory, it all sounds so simple, right? A modern, efficient way to transport people from point A to point B. But guess what? In our city, point A is somewhere near the edge of the map, and point B is good luck getting there in less than an hour. Honestly, if you want to ride the bus, you better pack a lunch, a blanket, and maybe a few podcasts because you're going on a journey. And the metro. Oh, don't get me started on the metro. It's like the city's idea of a scavenger hunt. First, you have to find the metro station, which is usually hidden somewhere behind a hedge or maybe a suspicious alleyway. Then you board the train, and just pray it's going in the direction you want. Because you've got a 50-50 shot of ending up on the other side of the city, and trust me, there's nothing like realizing you're on a one-way trip to Industrial District Number 7 when you're late for a meeting in downtown. Speaking of which, who thought it was a good idea to put the industrial zones smack in the middle of our city? Let's just surround all the important stuff, hospitals, schools, coffee shops, with coal plants and factories. Oh yeah, it's real scenic. It's like, welcome to Smogtopia. Enjoy your lungful of progress, folks. But wait, let's not forget the pedestrians. Oh yes, the brave souls who dare to walk the streets of this city. You gotta admire their optimism, don't you? The ones who think crosswalks actually mean something. Buddy, you're playing Frogger out there. They've got their little crosswalk signal blinking walk, and yet there's Dave in his SUV plowing through like he's driving in a video game. You have to wonder, do people in this city even know what brakes are, or are we just going with close your eyes and hope for the best? Oh, and bike lanes. What a joke. I see these painted lines on the road and I think, oh, that's cute, they think this is Amsterdam. Except here the bike lanes are more of a suggestion, kind of like that emergency lane that's now being used as a shortcut by every single person in a rush. I saw a bike last week and I'm still wondering if the rider made it to their destination. Or if they're now a permanent fixture on some truck's bumper. Honestly, at this point, I think the only way to survive traffic here is by investing in a helicopter, or maybe getting into teleportation. Can someone get on that, please? Because really, what are we even doing? Oh, wait. I forgot we did have a solution. Roundabouts. Yes, let's just sprinkle a few of those in and call it a day. What could go wrong? Let's just funnel all our traffic into one giant, never-ending loop of chaos and confusion. It's like a whirlpool for cars. Once you're in, good luck getting out. Seriously, though, who needs entertainment when you have this city's traffic system? It's a full-on soap opera out there. You've got drama, suspense, and the occasional villain. Usually a guy driving an ancient pickup truck with a mattress strapped to the roof. What's his story? I don't know, but I'm not brave enough to find out. Anyway, folks, that's enough ranting for today. Just remember, when you're stuck in traffic, whether it's for 10 minutes or, let's face it, 10 hours, take a deep breath. Enjoy the view of stationary vehicles, and think about all the exciting things you could be doing if this city was designed by people who understood how roads work. Up next, more traffic reports, as if you need a reminder that nothing is moving. Stay tuned, because this gridlock isn't going anywhere, and neither are you.
You're listening to Sim Games TO Radio, where we celebrate your terrible traffic management. applaud your decision to build a coal plant next to an elementary school and broadcast live from under a sewage pipe. Because, honestly, what's one more poor planning decision at this point? Whether you're stuck in yet another citywide gridlock or desperately trying to figure out why your citizens are complaining about ground pollution while living next to a landfill, we're here for you. Sit back, relax, and let's dive into the beautiful disaster that is your city.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, midnight, 3 a.m. snack time. Whatever time it is in your cities, Skylines save. You're tuned into Pollution Radio, where we talk all things filthy, toxic, and downright nasty. And, of course, I'm not talking about your internet browsing history, although, hey, who am I to judge? Let's talk about air quality, or as I like to call it, air disappointment. I just took a walk, if you can call it that, in Smogville. I mean, the beautiful metropolis of gray haze, because there are two kinds of clouds, the ones that rain and the ones that kill slowly. You know, just trying to get a little fresh air. Ha! Fresh air, who am I kidding? Fresh air is extinct. I might as well try inhaling a pine-scented air freshener in the hopes it'll mask the dumpster fire of an atmosphere we've got going here. Have you looked at the skyline lately? It's got all the charm of a toddler's finger painting. And that fog you're seeing? Nope, that's not a romantic mist rolling in from the digital waterfront. That's straight-up industrial sadness. You can practically see the particulates in the air. Like, I'm pretty sure I saw a bird cough mid-flight. Not even sure what that poor thing was anymore. A bird? A mutated trash drone? I think I saw it doing the breaststroke through a cloud of smog before it gave up, and just went back to the power plant to recharge or disintegrate or something. Tough times out there in Birdville. Now you may ask, how did we get here? Was it poor city planning? Of course not. It's not like the mayor, who, by the way, is currently off sipping virtual cocktails in the virtual tropics while the rest of us choke on our pixelated lives, allowed the construction of a coal plant next to the school district or anything. It couldn't be that. It's probably all the citizens' fault for, I don't know, breathing too much. You know how they are with their demands for oxygen and survival. But listen, I'm not here to blame anyone. I'm just saying, when you've got your industrial zone set up in such a way that the fumes literally roll downhill into the suburbs, you can't be shocked when you're tasting iron filings in your oatmeal. Just a normal breakfast routine now, huh? And what's the city's answer to this ever-thickening blanket of gray? Planting a couple of trees along the highway and hoping they just, breathe harder? Oh yeah, those trees are out there huffing and puffing for their lives. You think one lone oak tree in the middle of the freeway is going to solve a decade's worth of bad decisions? It's like putting a Band-Aid on a severed limb and calling it good as new. And can we talk about the citizens for a second? These people, I don't get it. They're walking around smiling, acting like everything's fine. Oh, let me just hop on my bike to work today. Yeah, pal, because nothing says clean living like cycling through a chemical fog so thick you have to turn on your bike's high beams. Get that cardio going. Inhale deep. Sure, you're pedaling, but let's be honest, you're more at risk of developing asthma than a six-pack. And don't even get me started on the tourists. Why are there tourists? Who's coming here and thinking, gee, let's book a trip to Smogville where the sunsets are the same color as burnt toast? You know those photos they post online with the skyline in the background? They've got to edit out the garbage particles floating by, right? Like, oh no, sweetie, that's not pollution, that's just urban ambiance. Yeah, whatever helps you sleep at night, Karen. No. Let's talk about the industrial magnates for a minute. You know, those fat cats sitting pretty in their high-rises, looking down on the rest of us like we're ants. Or more specifically, ants dying from black lung. These people are out here pumping raw poison into the air and they don't care. They don't breathe air. They've probably got oxygenated chambers in their office towers, you know? Just chilling in their pure O2 zones while the rest of us are out here trying to figure out if that wheeze we heard was our lungs or the sewer pipes backing up again. And speaking of pipes, don't even get me started on the water. Is anyone drinking that? Because I'm not sure if it's water or liquid regret at this point. I think I caught a whiff of it the other day. It smelled like melted batteries. And they still charge you $3.50 for it at the corner shop. I asked for tap water, and the clerk just stared at me like I was committing some kind of crime. I know why. The tap water is not even water anymore. It's a mix of pure irony, some unprocessed coal runoff, and maybe a few old hopes and dreams. But hey, at least the land value's going up, right? Sure, the air is slowly turning us into human-sized paperweights, but look, your property's worth more now, probably because it's located near one of the few places still free of the ever-present, thick, gray death cloud that hovers over the rest of the city. You know, like the park that's been strategically planted in the middle of nowhere, just so the real estate agents can pretend there's a place you can actually breathe without coughing up a lung. Oh, and before I forget, quick shout out to the city planners who thought it'd be a great idea to expand the city limits by adding more industry. Good call, folks, because nothing says we're committed to fixing the environment like slapping another coal plant onto the edge of town. I mean, why stop at one? Let's go full steam ahead, pun intended, until the whole city's just one big cloud of ash. We could rebrand as a dystopian theme park. I can already see the marketing now. Come for the monuments, stay for the medically necessary oxygen tanks. Anyway, folks, that's my little rant for the day. I mean, who am I kidding? It's probably my rant for every day. Don't worry, though. The city's got this all under control. They're rolling out a fleet of electric buses to tackle pollution, so I'm sure that'll solve everything. Forget that we've got half the population growing gills to deal with the toxicity. Electric buses, to the rescue. Stay tuned. We've got a full lineup of tunes to get you through another foggy day in gray haze. Maybe we'll even play some Purple Haze for thematic purposes. In the meantime, keep your windows closed, your air purifiers on high, and if you see a bird flying backward, well, just don't ask.
You're listening to Sim Games TO Radio, your #1 source for smooth jams and even smoother city planning disasters. Whether you're stuck in gridlock because someone thought a one-way road was a good idea, or watching your entire budget disappear on roundabouts that lead nowhere, we've got the soundtrack to soothe your simmering rage. Sit back, relax, and ignore the fact that half your citizens just left town because of a minor sewage leak. After all, it's not a real city until the air quality resembles a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Let's build, shall we?
Welcome back to Radio Rant, where the coffee is hot and the complaints are even hotter. I'm your host, Dave the Discontent, and today we're diving into the exhilaratingly mundane lives of our Sims and cities, Skylines 2. Buckle up, folks. This is going to be a bumpy ride, and by bumpy, I mean utterly flat and predictable. So let's talk about our dear little digital citizens. These Sims live in a world of endless opportunities, parks, skyscrapers, maybe even a roller coaster if you're feeling wild. And what do they do with that? They get up every morning, trudge to their jobs, and come home to watch paint dry. Literally. I mean, I've seen more excitement in my grandma's knitting club. Picture this. You build a beautiful city with stunning architecture, parks, and even a state-of-the-art transit system. And what do the Sims do? They stand in line for the bus like it's the hottest ticket in town. They wait there, just staring into space, pondering the deep questions of life like, will I ever upgrade my toaster? Or is there a better way to scroll through my social media feed? The thrill is palpable, folks. Let's talk about their workday. They hop on the bus, sitting next to that guy who eats a banana like he's auditioning for a circus act. You've seen it, right? He's juggling that banana like it's the only fruit he's ever known. Meanwhile, our Sims are looking at their watch like, oh great, 5 more hours of staring at spreadsheets. Can't wait. You know what I'd love to see? Just once I want to watch a Sim have a little bit of personality. I want a Sim who wakes up and thinks, today's the day. I'm going to make a grand escape from my 9-to-5 grind. But no, they dutifully head to work like it's the most exciting event of their lives. Maybe they'll get promoted to senior spreadsheet technician, and then what? More spreadsheets? Send me to Snoozeville. And can we talk about their hobbies? I mean, good heavens. Have you seen them? These Sims are out here painting like they're stuck in an eternal art class for beginners. And I'm talking about finger painting. I'm waiting for one of them to pick up a brush and be like, forget this. I'm going to start a rock band. But no, they settle for staring at their canvas like it's the Mona Lisa, trying to interpret the meaning of life through abstract strokes of beige. Then there's the relationship scene. You'd think with all that time spent together, there would be some romance, right? Nope. They go on awkward dates where they sit across from each other like they're on a first date with their dentist. The conversation flows like molasses on a cold day, slow and painfully awkward. It's all how's work, and did you see the weather? Can we spice it up, people? How about talking about the existential dread of living in a city where traffic jams last longer than their relationships? And don't get me started on the children. Oh, those poor little Sims. They go to school and come back to do their homework like they're training for the Sims Olympics. I want to see a little rebel who decides to build a pillow fort instead of finishing that math worksheet. But instead they study like their entire future hinges on getting an A+ in, I don't know, history of pencil sharpening? And speaking of schools, what's the deal with these education systems? They send kids to school and what do they learn? How to wait for the school bus and sit in class daydreaming about anything other than life. They're cramming their heads with facts while the real lessons of life, like how to cook or how to deal with a midlife crisis, are left in the dust. Oh, and let's not overlook the excitement of their daily routines. Every day is the same. Wake up, go to work, come home, repeat. It's like watching a really long and boring episode of a reality show that was canceled after one season. If I wanted to see repetition, I'd just stare at my washing machine. At least my clothes get cleaner. Now let's touch on the emotional depth of these Sims. You'd think with all the complexities of life, there'd be a little drama, right? Wrong! The most dramatic thing that happens is when they lose a game of chess. Oh, the horror! They storm off to their perfectly manicured yards to sulk, while the rest of the neighborhood just nods in polite sympathy like, they've just lost their beloved goldfish. Oh, poor Dave, he lost at chess again! It's like a soap opera without the soap. And what do they do for fun? Do they party? No, they go to the local park to have picnics with the enthusiasm of a sloth on a lazy day. You know it's bad when the highlight of their week is trying out a new flavor of yogurt. Oh boy, raspberry vanilla, this is living on the edge. Someone call the excitement police. We have a code blue. How do we wrap up this riveting session of boredom? I can't help but wonder, are these Sims actually enjoying life? Or are they just as trapped in their monotony as we are, only in pixelated form? It's a philosophical question for the ages. Are we all just Sims in a city of our own making, clinging to our routines like they're a security blanket? So, to all my fellow city planners out there, let's inject some fun into these digital lives. Let's see some Sims break the mold. Let's throw a wild party, go on spontaneous adventures, and maybe, just maybe, give them a reason to wake up each day other than to watch the clock tick away.
You're listening to Sim Games TO Radio, where your dream of building the perfect city quickly turns into a nightmare of traffic jams, power outages, and the delightful scent of industrial waste wafting through the air. That's right, folks. Why bother with reality when you can watch your citizens' happiness plummet faster than the stock market on a bad day? So grab your virtual hard hats and a hefty supply of aspirin, because we're about to dive into a world where every decision feels like a game of what could possibly go wrong? Spoiler alert. Everything. Buckle up, because it's going to be a bumpy ride.
Good morning. We're coming to you live from the heart of SimCity, where the buildings are tall, the traffic is absurd, and the garbage collection? Oh, don't even get me started. So, folks, let's talk about garbage collection in cities. Skylines too, shall we? I mean, seriously, if I wanted to deal with piles of trash, I'd just take a stroll through my neighbor's backyard. I've seen some epic cities out there, but what good is a gleaming skyline when the streets look like a dumpster exploded? You ever notice how in this game, your citizens can complain about anything? The schools are too far, the parks are too small, and oh, heaven forbid their commute is over 10 minutes. But the moment a little trash starts piling up, they're acting like it's the end of the world. Oh no, there's a banana peel on the sidewalk, my life is ruined. Come on, people. You've got to get your priorities straight. It's just a banana peel. A little biodegradable treasure, if you will. But let's get back to our beloved garbage collection. You build these fancy garbage facilities with sleek trucks, and then what happens? Those poor drivers must have been trained by circus clowns. They zigzag through the city like they're auditioning for an extreme sports competition. Oh, look, there's a pile of trash in the park, but wait, a butterfly. Let's swerve to the left and crash into that statue instead. Great job, guys. You just made my historical monument the new city centerpiece for the dumpster fire exhibit. And don't even get me started on the timing of these trash collections. You've got your citizens whining about how they have to walk past the mountains of refuse, but what are the garbage trucks doing? They're on vacation, apparently, just parked at the depot sipping soda and playing poker while the city descends into chaos. It's like I've built a paradise for trash, not people. Oh, and then there's the issue of the garbage zones. Who came up with the idea of zoning for garbage? It's like saying, Yar, congratulations. You've been selected to live in Garbageville, population. You and that pizza box from 1986. I swear if I see another citizen celebrating their new home in the garbage zone on social media, I might just scream. Look at this lovely view of the dumpster, and check out my new neighbors. They smell like old socks and regret. And the naming conventions. You think someone would have put some thought into that? Instead, I've got roads named after the biggest eyesores in the city. Piles of Poop Parkway, Trash Mountain Drive, So let's not forget the classic Rotten Banana Boulevard. Why can't we have some nice names like Civic Pride Avenue or Sparkling Clean Street? But nah, that would be too easy, wouldn't it? This is a game where my dreams of building a thriving metropolis are constantly crushed under the weight of overflowing garbage bins. It's like I'm playing a reverse version of SimCity. Instead of building the city of my dreams, I'm building a monument to filth. And let's talk about the city's policies on garbage collection. Oh, you want to be environmentally friendly? Great, let's add some recycling bins. But when was the last time you saw a recycling truck? I mean, they must have gone on a world tour or something. Hey guys, look, a glass bottle. Let's leave it there and come back in a decade. The citizens are out here worrying about the planet, while I'm over here wondering if we need to hire a hazmat team just to clean up the trash avalanche. Honestly, I feel like the garbage collection mechanics were designed by a team of raccoons who spent one too many nights digging through the dumpster. Let's put this bin over here, then park the truck in another zip code. Perfect! The way those trucks maneuver is a masterclass in chaos theory. I half expect them to end up on a reality show called Extreme Garbage Collection. The Reckoning. And then there's the delightful smell wafting through the city. Oh yes, the sweet aroma of neglect and garbage is just the perfume of the metropolis. I'm pretty sure I've seen citizens pass out from the stench. Welcome to SimCity, where the air is fresh, and if you ignore the pile of trash that's been here since the launch of the game, you could bottle that scent and sell it as a new cologne. Ode to landfill, for the player who loves to live on the edge. So what do we do about this mess? Do we bring in the city planners? The answer is no. I've seen those guys. They'd probably just draw a map that leads straight into the nearest dumpster. Maybe we need to hire some professionals, like actual sanitation workers. I mean, we've got fire and police departments, right? Where's the sanitation department? Are they off fighting crime or something? Because the trash is definitely winning the battle. I don't know, folks. Maybe we just need to embrace the chaos. Maybe we should change the city motto to Welcome to Trashland, where the garbage is fresh and the air is thick. I can see it now. A new tourism campaign. Come for the skyline, stay for the stench. Our trash is your treasure.
You're listening to Sim Games TO Radio, where we're busy transforming your urban dreams into delightful disasters. That's right, folks. If you ever wanted to see how quickly you can turn a picturesque little town into a chaotic mess of traffic jams, pollution, and an adorable assortment of disgruntled citizens, you've come to the right place. Just remember, in this city, the air might smell like a barbecue gone wrong. But hey, at least your land value is skyrocketing. Because who doesn't want to live next to a toxic waste dump with a stunning view of the sewage treatment plant? So grab your hard hats, put on those rose-tinted glasses, and let's dive into the chaos of city planning, where every decision is a fun little gamble on whether your city will thrive or become a cautionary tale.
Welcome back, and we are going to dive deep into the virtual metropolis of cities, Skylines 2. We have a pressing issue on our hands, unemployment rates that make the Great Depression look like a casual Friday. I mean, have you ever seen a city so desperate for jobs that the pigeons are starting to look at me like I'm their next meal ticket? I walked past a park yesterday, and I swear I heard a seagull squawking, "Hey buddy, how about a job application instead of those breadcrumbs?" Well, sorry, my feathered friend, but I'm not hiring anyone who eats garbage for a living. Talk about a bad resume. Now let's break it down. You build those fancy high-rises, zoning them all commercial, thinking, oh boy, I'm going to be the next big thing since sliced bread. But what do you get? A sea of empty storefronts and sad little for-lease signs flapping in the wind like a sad flag of surrender. The only thing more depressing than those signs is the city's unemployment office. I walked in there yesterday, and the receptionist looked like she'd been there since the dawn of time. I half expected her to ask me if I needed help filling out my job-seeking application in ancient hieroglyphics. So here's my theory. Cities are like relationships. You can't just throw money at them and hope they thrive. No, it's all about nurturing those poor little unemployed Sims like they're fragile houseplants. You know, the ones that seem like they might survive a light drizzle, but collapse under the weight of your expectations. My suggestion? We need to throw a job fair, folks, and not just any job fair. I'm talking about a carnival-style job fair. Because what's more enticing than a job offer while riding the Ferris wheel? Hey, how about a position in accounting while you're 200 feet in the air holding on to your lunch? But listen, I get it. Maybe your citizens have their sights set too high. You ever seen a sim apply for a job at a tech company? and their resume lists expert at making sandwiches as their top skill? Sorry, buddy, but unless that sandwich making comes with a side of Python coding, you're not getting a six-figure salary anytime soon. Let's face it, some of these Sims think they're entitled to a corner office when all they've done is binge-watch cat videos on the internet. How about we get some realism in the job market? Maybe a few positions for professional nap taker or expert cat video reviewer could help our citizens feel a bit more accomplished. Now, if you want to tackle unemployment like a pro, here's what you need to do. First, let's talk infrastructure. I know, everyone loves a good highway, but do we really need another overpass leading to nowhere? How about building a transit system that connects the job centers to the residential areas? Seriously, my Sims are like, hey, I'd love to go to that job interview, but then they stare at the bus stop like it's a portal to another dimension. Is this the bus to opportunity? And while we're at it, how about a few parks or community centers? Nothing says job hunting like a nice spot to socialize. I mean, the last time I saw my Sims mingle was at a bakery, and they were just standing there staring at pastries like they were the answer to their problems. If only I could just eat my way through this unemployment crisis. Now listen, if we want to solve this issue, we also need to look at education. I know what you're thinking. Education? Chuck, I barely got my Sims through high school. But let's be real. If your citizens don't have the skills to get a job, you might as well build them a nice little unemployment park, where they can sit and contemplate their life choices. I'm picturing a beautiful landscape filled with benches that say things like, "Your future is in the stars. If only you could reach them." And of course, let's not forget about those epic disasters. You know, the ones where your city is hit by a meteor or a zombie invasion? Perfect excuse for the unemployed to join the cleanup crew. Congratulations, you've just been hired to pick up the pieces of your once thriving city. Bonus points if you dodge a zombie. But in all seriousness, my fellow city planners, let's come together and fix this unemployment crisis. Make your cities places of opportunity, where your Sims don't have to line up at the unemployment office like it's the newest hot club in town. Let's get creative, build those community centers, offer job training programs, and for the love of all that is good in this world, let's make job searching feel like a party. Because let's face it, folks, nobody wants to live in a city where the unemployment rate is higher than the crime rate. It's just not a good look. So tune in next time for more Skyline shenanigans, and remember, don't let your Sims languish in unemployment. Give them a job. Or at least a great excuse to throw a citywide party. Until next time, keep building, keep laughing, and remember to check your unemployment rate.
You're listening to Sim Games TO Radio, where we celebrate the majestic art of urban chaos. Here, you can build the city of your dreams, complete with traffic jams that would make a turtle cry, pollution so thick you'll think you're living in a sci-fi film, and citizens who act like they're starring in a reality show called Who Can Complain the Loudest? So grab your virtual hard hats, because it's time to watch your well-planned metropolis crumble under the weight of your bad decisions. Remember, in this city, happiness is just a broken water pipe away.
Good morning, Skyline City. You're listening to the best and only radio station for all things urban, the Skyline Shakedown. We're here to dive deep into the Skyline's latest disaster. And folks, I'm talking about our healthcare system, or lack thereof. Let's just say, if healthcare were a building, it'd be one of those abandoned skyscrapers with a condemned sign hanging from the top floor. I mean, let's start with the basics. You know you're in trouble when the local hospital has more of a please knock before entering sign than a functioning emergency room. Seriously, I walked in there the other day, and I thought I was in a Halloween haunted house instead of a medical facility. I was half expecting a doctor to jump out at me and scream, "Boo, you're still sick!" And let's not even get started on our city's favorite pastime, waiting in line. Waiting in line is our unofficial sport here in Skyline City. I went to the clinic last week for a sore throat, and I ended up getting a degree in waiting for medical attention. I think the guy ahead of me had a hangnail, and he was treated like he was having a heart attack. I mean, come on. What do you need to do to get some decent attention? Show up with a broken leg and a sign that says, "I promise I'm not faking." But the best part? I finally get to see the doctor after what felt like a 3-hour stint on a ride at the theme park, only to be told I have a slight case of being a hypochondriac. Thank you, Doc, that's great news. But I thought my throat was swelling up. Was it just my imagination, or are we using sore throat as a new euphemism for demanding attention? I'm just glad I didn't ask for a lollipop on my way out. Those might be hard to find. And don't even get me started on our city's healthcare budget. You know it's bad when the mayor decides to throw a fundraising gala for the hospital. And the highlight of the night is a silent auction for a broken gurney. That's right, folks. The only thing getting auctioned off at the event was my hope for a healthy future. And while we're at it, let's address the quality of our healthcare professionals. I'm pretty sure half the staff at the clinic are volunteers who signed up for a free pizza promotion. I walked in there and I thought I was at an amateur magic show. Now you see my doctor, now you don't. Because every time I tried to get a straight answer, it felt like they were pulling rabbits out of hats. But hey, I'm not one to just complain without offering a solution, so here's what I think. First, let's get rid of the waiting rooms and replace them with ball pits. Who doesn't feel better after jumping into a pool of colorful plastic balls? Picture it. Welcome to your appointment. Please dive into the pit and we'll call you when we're ready. You might leave with fewer ailments and a lot more happiness. Who needs therapy when you have ball pits? Next, we need a drive-through doctor option. That's right, you drive up, roll down the window, and bam! The doctor hands you a prescription while you're still in your car. Need a refill? Just honk twice. No need for appointments or awkward small talk about the weather. Just me, my car, and a happy little dose of antibiotics. And while we're dreaming big, how about hiring some of those reality TV stars as doctors? I mean, can you imagine? Welcome to Skylines Medical Center, where Dr. Reality Star will diagnose you with a flair for the dramatic. Sure, it might take longer to get treated, but at least it would be entertaining. Who needs Grey's Anatomy when you've got Skylines Anatomy right here in our hospital? Finally, let's invest in some real medical technology. How about we get a fleet of drones delivering medicine right to our doorsteps? Your prescription has arrived. Please sign here and try not to drop the drone while you take your pain meds. Now that's healthcare with a twist. So there you have it, Skyline City. Our healthcare system may be a hot mess, but if we band together and demand a few changes, we might just end up with a system that actually works. Remember, folks, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. And when healthcare gives you a headache, well, just remember to bring your own ball pit. Thanks for tuning into the Skyline Shakedown. Keep your spirits high and your complaints loud. Until next time, stay healthy, or at least stay entertained.
You're listening to Sim Games TO Radio, where your dreams of a perfect metropolis clash head-on with reality. Kind of like that time you tried to assemble IKEA furniture without the instructions. Join us as we watch your city go from bustling utopia to horrifying dystopia, faster than you can say traffic jam. Got a sweet park? Great. Just ignore the 6-lane highway cutting through it like a hot knife through butter. Oh, and don't mind the smog. It's just a natural part of the skyline, like the towering monuments to poor planning. So, grab your coffee, buckle up, and let's dive into the chaos of urban design, where every decision is a carefully calculated disaster waiting to happen.
Today, folks, we need to talk about something that's been bugging me more than a swarm of pigeons at a hot dog stand: rent prices. I mean, seriously, have you checked your wallets lately? If rent prices were a character in a horror movie, they'd be the big scary monster lurking in the shadows waiting to pounce on your paycheck. I just did some math, and my rent is so high that if I stack my monthly bills, I could literally build a tiny house out of the bills. But alas, I can't live in a pile of unpaid rent, can I? I mean, what's next? Are they going to charge us for the air we breathe? Now I know what you're thinking. Bob, just move to the suburbs. Yeah, right. The suburbs are like the friend who always invites you to their boring dinner parties. No thanks. Plus, they have their own kind of horror stories. Did you hear about the guy who got lost in the endless cul-de-sac? And let's not forget, moving is a nightmare. You need a U-Haul, a dozen friends who mysteriously can't help on moving day, and a sudden realization that you own way too many collectibles from that one anime you watched in high school. So what's causing this rent madness? Are we living in some kind of twisted reality where rent prices are determined by a high-stakes poker game? I'll raise you $200 for that studio with a view of a brick wall. What's next, an auction for parking spaces? I can see it now. Going once, going twice, sold for a kidney. And here's a thought. Why are we paying so much for a shoebox-sized apartment that's basically a glorified closet? I could fit all my furniture in there and still have room for my existential crisis. Let's be honest, people. Rent prices are about as inflated as my ego after a good hair day. It's like living in a balloon animal, all twisty, unpredictable, and ready to pop at any moment. But fear not, dear listeners, because I've got a few solutions up my sleeve, solutions that are so simple they might just work. First up, tiny houses. Yes, the ultimate dream. They're cute, compact, and if you get too bored, you can just spin in a circle and say you've seen the whole place. And let's face it, if you ever get too crowded, you can always kick the cat out, right? Or how about a rent-your-friend program? You know, when you rent out your friend's couch for a month and they get to crash at your place, too. It's like a buddy system for housing, only with more awkward conversations at midnight. And let's not forget rent control. I mean, come on. How about we regulate these prices like they're the price of avocados? Because if they keep going up, soon we'll be paying more for a one-bedroom than for a lifetime supply of guacamole. Now let's talk about the silver lining here. There's a thriving underground economy of living situations. If you look hard enough, you can find that hidden gem of an apartment above a bakery. Sure, you'll have to deal with the smell of fresh bread 24/7, but hey, at least you're never going to go hungry. But really, folks, we need to come together and demand change. We need to rise up against these rental giants. Let's start a protest outside the office of Pricey Properties, Inc. with picket signs saying, "My bank account can't take this anymore." And don't get me started on the amenities they offer. Hey, look, a rooftop pool that you can never use because it costs an arm and a leg to access. Well, thanks for the privilege, but I think I'll stick to my inflatable kiddie pool in the backyard. So in conclusion, let's unite against these ridiculous rent prices, because if we don't, the only thing we'll be able to afford is a box of cereal and a dream. So join me in this quest for affordable living, and together, we'll show those rent prices who's boss. Remember, folks, in the battle of rent prices, don't let them rent your soul. That's all for today on City Talk Radio. Stay tuned for more, and remember, life is too short to let rent prices get you down. Until next time, keep dreaming big and budgeting wisely.
You're listening to Sim Games TO Radio, where building a perfect city is just a few mouse clicks away, right before your citizens start complaining about everything. I mean, who needs clean air or working public transportation when you can fill your city with power plants and watch the smog roll in like a cozy blanket of despair? So grab your virtual hard hats, folks, because today we're diving into the glorious chaos of trying to keep a million pixelated residents happy while simultaneously creating the world's largest landfill. Because let's be real, who doesn't love a good old-fashioned toxic waste theme park? Buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy ride through the land of traffic jams and unhappy citizens.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're tuning in to the City Sideshow. It's where the absurdities of urban life are laid bare. I'm your host, Benny B. back from my latest venture into the absurd world of cities, Skylines 2. And folks, I've got a bone to pick today, a dead serious bone. Let me paint a picture for you. Picture a city bustling with life, excitement, and a bit too much traffic as usual. You know the drill. But here's the twist. Instead of the usual, hey, look at all those happy citizens, I'm staring at a whole line of dearly departed, waiting for hearses like they're in some kind of grotesque parade. I mean, honestly, who knew my city would become the world's largest waiting room for the afterlife? Now I know what you're thinking. Benny, why so negative? Aren't they just waiting for their turn? Oh, sure. If waiting means being passed up by every hearse in the city like you're stuck at the back of the DMV. What is this, a twisted version of Survivor? The last corpse standing wins a one-way trip to the great beyond? I mean, come on. You'd think that with all this advanced city planning, I'd have some sort of well-oiled machine for taking care of the deceased. But no, we're sitting here with a line longer than my last relationship. Remember that ex? Yeah, just like her, stubbornly refusing to leave. It's not just the dead folks either. I'm starting to feel bad for the hearse drivers. They're probably getting the wrong idea about their career choices. I mean, how do you even break the news to your family? So, Dad, I've decided to drive hearses. Yes, you heard me right. I'll be spending my days in traffic jams, listening to the latest hits from the Decomposing Tunes playlist. I can just see it now. The hearse drivers complaining to each other during lunch breaks. Well, Bob, how's business? Oh, you know, pretty dead, literally. I spent my whole shift parked outside the cemetery with a lineup like I was at a buffet. But seriously, there are too many deceased waiting for a ride, and we need to address this. Maybe I should set up a Kickstarter campaign for Hearing the Silence, a new service where we deliver the deceased in style. Chariots of Fire style. I mean, what's wrong with a little pizzazz? How about we create a Hearsy-matic? It's like an Uber, but for your last ride, you click a button and whoosh, a hearse appears. We'll even throw in some complimentary peaceful journey mints. Who doesn't want to freshen up on their way to the afterlife? And then there's the option for express service. I can see it now. Feeling impatient? Upgrade to the rapid depart option for an additional fee. We'll send a squad of those little motorized scooters for a speedy pickup. Picture it, my city streets filled with little scooters zipping around, carrying the dearly departed like a mini motorcade. Or how about a drive-through funeral service? Hey, we know you're busy. Just drive up, give a nod, and we'll do the rest. Nothing says I care like a quick wave from the window while munching on a donut. Honestly, though, if I can solve the traffic issue with some out-of-the-box thinking, we might be able to clear this backlog. How about a new city ordinance that states, if you're not in a rush, you don't get to take a number? You know, let's speed up the process for the ones who are in a hurry to get to the great beyond. And you know what? Let's just make the hearse drivers the city's official traffic controllers. Hey folks, we've got some backup here. Could you kindly let the departed through? They've got places to be. I can see them waving flags, giving directions like they're part of the parade. Just, a very different kind of parade. For let's be honest, we've all got our own personal waiting for a hearse experiences. That friend who takes forever to text back? Yeah, that's how I feel about the hearse situation. Just like waiting for the bus that never comes, except this bus has a different destination entirely. So in closing, let's all send a little love to our departed pals stuck in limbo. And hearse drivers, I salute you. You are the unsung heroes of our time, bravely navigating the slow lane while the rest of us whiz by, pretending we don't see the line of folks waiting patiently for their ride. And remember, if you find yourself stuck in a hearse jam, just turn on your favorite tunes and embrace the fact that everyone's got to go sometime. Now let's cue the music, and I'll catch you next time on the City Sideshow. Keep your spirits high, both the living and the not-so-living. Stay tuned, folks. More city madness coming right up.
You're listening to Sim Games TO Radio, the show where we celebrate the thrill of urban chaos and questionable decision-making in our beloved cities. Skylines. That's right, folks, where your dream of creating a thriving metropolis quickly devolves into a glorified game of how many ways can I ruin a perfectly good city? Got a traffic jam so bad it could star in a reality TV show? Check. Water pipes that could rival a spaghetti factory? Double check. And let's not forget our ever-festive pollution levels. Who needs a scenic view when you can enjoy the charming aroma of industrial smog wafting through your city? So grab your hard hat, turn up the sarcasm, and let's dive headfirst into a city planning disaster of epic proportions.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to your favorite radio station, Sim City Shenanigans, where we talk all things cities, Skylines too, the only place where we can build our dream cities while simultaneously losing our minds. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but apparently in my city, the population is getting dumber by the second. That's right, we've got more uneducated Sims wandering around than you'd find at a rock concert for a one-hit wonder from the 90s. I mean, come on, can we please get some educated Sims in here? Is it too much to ask for a few brains in my bustling metropolis? Let's paint the picture. I zoom in on my lovely city, filled with gleaming skyscrapers, beautiful parks, and, oh look, there's Johnny Sim, who still thinks that eating paint chips is a viable dietary choice. Honestly, at this rate, we might as well hand out diplomas to the pigeons, because they're clearly more educated than the average Sim. Now here's a fun fact for you. Did you know that education in cities Skylines 2 isn't just a fancy little mechanic? No, it's like the secret sauce that keeps your city running smoothly. You want a thriving economy? Educated Sims, you want advanced industry? Educated Sims, you want to avoid having your city turn into a giant toddler playpen? Yep, you guessed it, educated Sims. But oh no, my Sims would rather watch paint dry than pick up a book. I mean, I can almost hear their conversations. Hey Bob, did you hear about that new school they built? Nah, I'm good. I'd rather sit here and contemplate the meaning of life while staring blankly at a wall. Great, fantastic. That's exactly what we need in a growing city. An army of Sims who think the height of sophistication is eating instant ramen while wearing socks with sandals. Now let's dive into the numbers here, folks. I've got a staggering 50% of my population without a single bit of education. What are they doing all day? Collecting unemployment checks, playing Sims, Ultimate Couch Potato Edition? And let's not forget, every time I see a Sim without an education, a little part of my city dies inside. It's like watching a houseplant wilt because someone forgot to water it. So what can we do to fix this educational catastrophe? I've got a few solutions that I think could really get the wheels turning, if only my Sims had any brains to turn them. Who doesn't love free pizza? Set up a campaign in your city for free pizza every Friday at your local school. Education just got a whole lot more appetizing. I can see it now. Hey kids, forget about your math homework. You can eat an entire pepperoni pizza instead. Who needs to know how to add when you have cheese? Why not invite some real-world professionals to speak to our uneducated Sims? Bring in a doctor, a lawyer, or even a circus clown. Just imagine the chaos. The clown would probably get more attention than the scientist because, let's face it, who doesn't love balloon animals? We all know how addicted our Sims are to the TV, so let's leverage that. Create a reality TV show called Survivor the Education Island. Contestants will have to answer trivia questions, and if they get it wrong, they'll be forced to spend the next week in a high school classroom. The ratings will skyrocket, and we'll have educated Sims by the end of the season. So let's not just point fingers at the Sims, folks. I also need to have a word with the mayor. Seriously, what are they doing? Standing there, cutting ribbons and smiling while the city goes down the drain? Maybe if they spent less time in photo ops and more time building schools, we wouldn't be in this mess. I picture the mayor up on a podium waving to the masses while behind them, a giant sign says, "Welcome to Dunderhead City, where we have more school dropouts than graduates. And what's with the education funding?" I thought I was a millionaire city planner, but apparently my budget is tighter than a pair of skinny jeans after Thanksgiving dinner. I can't even afford a decent library. You know what I have instead? A little shack that looks like it was thrown together by a toddler with a glue stick and a few cardboard boxes. So I say let's rally together, fellow city planners. Let's hold town hall meetings where we brainstorm ideas on how to educate our Sims. Bring in the hotshot educators, the tutors, even that one weird guy who claims he can teach physics by juggling. We need some creativity here, people. In conclusion, if we want a bright future for our Sims and for the sake of our sanity, let's get them educated. Because if not, I'm pretty sure the next generation will think that the Great Gatsby is just a new flavor of jelly. And that's it for today, folks. Remember, let's aim for more brains and fewer brawn when it comes to our city planning.
You're listening to Sim Games TO Radio, where your dreams of urban perfection collide spectacularly with reality. Remember, every time you place a new power plant next to a kindergarten, a virtual angel gets its wings. So keep up the good work. Who needs clean air and happy citizens when you can watch your city grow like a weed? Grab your popcorn and settle in, because it's time to marvel at your citizens living their best lives, choking on smog while waiting for the bus that'll never arrive. Don't forget to check your city's happiness meter. It's currently somewhere between existential crisis and who even is the mayor? Enjoy the chaos, folks.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, fellow city builders and simulation enthusiasts. Welcome to the wild world of SimCity shenanigans, the only radio show where we dissect the hilarious and sometimes tragic saga of urban planning in cities, skylines too. Let's kick things off with the good old bus system. Oh yes, buses, the backbone of public transit, the trusty steeds that carry our Sims from point A to point B. But let's be honest, folks, riding the bus is about as glamorous as eating day-old pizza while watching paint dry. First off, they're cheap. Building a bus line costs less than a bag of chips at the convenience store. And if you're like me and live in constant fear of running out of money in cities, Skylines too, then the bus is your best friend. Just be prepared for some serious complaints when your Sims realize they've been waiting for 30 minutes because you forgot to upgrade the line. Buses can go anywhere. Unlike those stuck-up trains that think they're too good to meander through traffic, buses can squeeze through tight corners and pick up Sims where they live. It's like having a friend who's always willing to give you a ride, even if they do smell like wet dog. Once you set up your bus lines, they tend to run themselves. Just remember to keep an eye on your Sims' sanity levels, because if they have to share a bus with someone who hasn't showered in a week, you might find them contemplating life choices by the time they get to work. But here comes the con. Buses are not immune to traffic. If you've got a city where traffic laws are more of a suggestion than a rule, good luck getting those buses to their destinations. You might as well have put up a sign that reads, "Welcome to the great bus fiasco of 2024. Enjoy your stay in bumper-to-bumper bliss. Let's not forget the notorious complaining. I waited for the bus for 45 minutes. Oh, really, Karen? You waited for 45 minutes for a bus that comes every 10 minutes. Maybe if you had your headphones in instead of scrolling through social media, you would have noticed it zoom past you. Honestly, I should charge for complaints. It'd be a lucrative side hustle, and let's talk about overcrowding. Nothing says fun like being crammed into a bus with a bunch of strangers, smelling each other's lunch breath. It's like a group hug, but without the warmth or affection. It's the epitome of public transportation, where personal space goes to die. Next up, let's discuss the elegant train system. Trains, the high-speed chariots of our modern age. Nothing says sophistication quite like watching a train whiz past while your Sims stand in line for a bus. But don't let the shiny exterior fool you. Trains have their own set of quirks. First, they're fast. Trains zoom through the city like they're in a race against time. If you've got a sprawling metropolis and need your Sims to get across town in a hurry, trains are the way to go. Just be prepared for your Sims to complain about how they'll never get to their destination on time because they missed their train by 2 seconds. Trains can carry a ton of passengers. You can pack them in like sardines, and your Sims will be thrilled to be squished together. Forget about personal space. This is a true bonding experience. Just make sure you've built enough platforms, or you might have a riot on your hands as Sims try to push their way onto the train. Plus, let's not ignore the aesthetics. A beautifully designed train station can add a touch of class to your city. It's like adding a fancy hat to a toddler. Completely unnecessary, but somehow makes everything look better. But here's the kicker. Building a train line will cost you more than your average high school diploma. If you're not careful, your entire budget could disappear faster than a pizza at a kid's birthday party. So unless you've found a hidden stash of simoleons, building an extensive rail system might require some creative budgeting, or a miraculous tax return, and don't even get me started on how much space trains take up. You'll need multiple stations throughout your city, and before you know it, your city will look like a giant game of connect the dots. It's like trying to fit a giraffe into a Mini Cooper. Good luck with that. Let's not forget about the weather. Trains are notoriously affected by bad weather. One stormy day, and your train schedule is out the window faster than your Sims can say, "I'm late for work." Now let's dive underground and talk about subways. The subway system. The mystical realm where the light of day doesn't shine, and the smell of questionable choices lingers in the air. Subways are the urban explorer's dream, but are they as glamorous as they sound? Let's find out. First off, subways are incredibly fast. They travel underground like secret agents, avoiding all that pesky traffic. Your Sims can zip around town while the rest of the city sits in gridlock, twiddling their thumbs and cursing their life choices. And talk about space saving. Subways don't take up precious road space, which is a huge plus in a bustling metropolis. It's like a magician who makes your traffic disappear. Now you see it, now you don't. Let's not forget the cool factor. Riding the subway feels like an adventure, a journey into the underbelly of the city. Your Sims can feel like secret agents or adventurers, while in reality, they're just trying to get to work without falling asleep. But oh boy, building a subway system is a construction nightmare. You'll need to dig tunnels and connect lines while praying to the Sim gods that you don't accidentally flood the entire city. It's like trying to navigate a maze while blindfolded. Good luck with that. Maintenance costs for subways can be through the roof. You'll need to keep an eye on those underground trains, or else they'll start breaking down like a teenager's first car. And believe me, if your subway stops working, you'll have a horde of angry Sims on your hands ready to riot. And let's be real, the subway can be dark and creepy. It's like stepping into a horror movie where every corner could be hiding a Sim who forgot to pay their bills. Your Sims may love the thrill of the underground, but I guarantee there's a reason why horror movies are set in dark tunnels. Now let's take a moment to appreciate the tram system, the perfect blend between buses and trains. Trams are like the stylish hipster of public transport. They look great, but do they really get the job done? Let's find out. First off, trams are scenic. They glide through the city, giving your Sims a lovely view of their surroundings. If you're looking to add some charm to your city, trams are the way to go. Who needs to build a park when you can have a tram ride that feels like a nature tour? Trams are relatively inexpensive to operate. You won't have to break the bank to keep them running, which is a major win in the world of urban planning. It's like finding a discount on your favorite pizza place. Suddenly, life is good again. And guess what? Having trams can increase land values. Your Sims will love living near a tram line thinking they're more cultured than their bus-riding counterparts. Just remember to keep those tram stops clean. You don't want your fancy tram smelling like a frat house after a party. But wait, trams are also subject to traffic, just like buses. If your city is clogged up like a toilet after a family reunion, your trams will be stuck in traffic too. It's the eternal struggle of public transport. Trams are limited in where they can go. You can't just plop down a tram line and expect it to go anywhere. It's like trying to convince a cat to take a bath. Good luck with that. And let's be real here. Trams can sometimes feel a bit pretentious. Your Sims might start feeling too good about themselves for riding the tram, looking down on the poor bus riders as if they're royalty. Oh, you take the bus, how quaint. Just what we need, more judgmental Sims. Ferries. Let's talk about ferries, the aquatic alternative to traditional transit. They're fun, they're cute, and they definitely add some flair to your city. But do they really make sense? Let's navigate these waters. First of all, who doesn't love a good ferry ride? Your Sims can enjoy stunning views of the waterfront while sipping their coffee. It's like a mini vacation every time they commute. Ferries can help alleviate road traffic. If you got a lot of water around, you can utilize ferries to transport Sims without clogging up the streets. It's like a breath of fresh air in an otherwise congested city. And don't forget, ferries can also be a tourist attraction. Who doesn't want to hop on a ferry to see the sights? You'll have tourists flocking to your city, and before you know it, you'll be the next big vacation destination. Just pray they don't all decide to visit at once. But wait, ferries are weather dependent. A stormy day can turn your lovely ferry service into a soggy nightmare. Yes, let's take a lovely ferry ride. Oh wait, is that lightning? Run for your lives. Your Sims will need to keep an eye on the weather, or they'll find themselves swimming to work. And speaking of space, where do you put these ferries? You'll need adequate docking space, and if you're not careful, your lovely waterfront can quickly become overcrowded. It's like trying to fit all your friends into a single car. Eventually, someone's getting left behind. Let's face it, ferries are not always the most accessible option. If you don't have water nearby, good luck trying to convince your Sims to swim to work. Just don't be surprised when they show up looking like drowned rats. So there you have it, folks. We've explored the wonderful, wacky world of public transit in cities' skylines too. And let's be honest, it's a mixed bag. Each type of transit has its pros and cons. And if you're planning your city's transport system, you'll need to balance affordability, efficiency, and the inevitable complaints from your Sims. But in the end, whether it's buses, trains, subways, trams, ferries, or cable cars, public transit is a vital part of city life. Your Sims will appreciate having options, even if they spend half their commute complaining about how the bus was late or the train was overcrowded. So get out there, fellow city planners. Build those transit systems, make those Sims happy, or at least keep them from rioting. Until next time, keep your cities thriving, your Sims moving, and your sense of humor intact.